Anyway, I am slowly getting used to the adrenaline rush that happens every 3 weeks this year of impending nuclear war, followed by a just kidding, it worked out this time kind of slow cool down. It's kind of like getting used to like mushrooms wearing off or something. You just kind of like
Uh-huh.
get used to the ride and just let it wash over you.
Right. You know what I would not be surprised at is so this I believe China has nukes, right?
I believe so.
Um
They haven't called me recently, but I would be surprised if they did not.
yeah, they've like 260 total warheads, which I don't blame them for because what else are you gonna do, right? With this when there's a country on the other side of the world that says it wants to freaking completely upend your society and they have nukes, why would you not have nukes? Same goes for like every other country with nukes, which is why it's got to be a multilateral process in denuclearizing. But I would not be surprised if Nancy Pelosi's plane had a third party visitor, if you know what I mean. A little, if it had a little,
Interesting.
if it was tailed by somebody who was trying to simmer down the tensions or perhaps
Like a
not to.
stowaway?
No, I'm talking about a UFO.
Oh my God.
Because historically, and I'm not making this up, a lot of sightings of UFO, of unidentified flying objects, aerial phenomena, what have you, have happened near or around nuclear facilities. And there are people who say that extraterrestrials are concerned with the United States, particularly, but the Earth in general, using nukes.
Yeah, a lot of Air Force sightings, like plane security footage, stuff like that. Like beams hitting active flying test missiles and then falling out of the sky, stuff like that. Although I realize you are using this as a segue, but Nancy Pelosi was not carrying nuclear weapons to Taiwan
No, no, in a
that
suitcase.
we know of. Maybe she had a lot more purpose in being there than you read about in the papers. She was delivering a suitcase nuke.
Well, but yeah, by that I mean she was perhaps inflaming tensions between, well, she was inflaming tensions between two nuclear powers, which is
Yeah.
not a good thing to do, and is something that might show up on the radar, if you will, of extraterrestrial beings.
Do you think so? Do you think they're like cued into like national politics that way, or
Not in like an intimate way, um, but you know they perhaps would notice the Chinese attention towards Pelosi's plane.
I think they just
And
hang out around planes. They're like, this is the problem. These
could
guys are
be,
the problem. Let's hang out around these.
could be, could be. I have been on a UFO kick lately. It's funny, I was, really not into this stuff, conspiracy theories or any of this. I thought it was kind of for the birds or just a distraction from structural issues. And, as I've discussed, definitely can be that. But
But it's also
it's also
not,
fun.
and a big deal. It's a big deal.
Right. It would be, as George Knapp says, if, 1% of UFO alien encounter accounts are real, again, we assume 99% are bunk, then that's the biggest thing that has ever happened in humanity, right? And we know that the government has finally acknowledged that there are at least UFO things that have been flying around that they don't know what they are. They can't give any explanation. So to me, like, I don't know, that seems like an admission that there's intelligent life, because the only other explanations for that have to be stranger than extraterrestrials, right? Like, what other explanation would there be for that? Just it's
Well,
a
either way,
hologram, or
it taps into like there's an entire uh, dimension of physics that we completely have not mastered and understand. So even if this isn't an alien and it's just like a particle resonance phenomenon or whatever, it's outside of modern science, so it's still extremely relevant. And a lot of these examples do seem like an intelligent something.
Mhm.
But the question is, like, what do you do with this information? Because there's not like there's any demands on the table or anything. It's just like, well, there's a crazy light and it's gone, and I don't know what it was.
Yeah, well, I think the demand. Well, it's interesting. I was thinking about this today. Of course, there's a large community of people who want full disclosure. I would add myself in that camp, I guess.
Wasn't that Bill Clinton's big thing?
So he tried to find out what happened at Roswell. The Air Force, I think it was, came out with a report on Project, what was it, Gremlin or something like that. That's when the weather balloon thing came in, where they said we had this program with these weather balloons to kind of, guard against Soviet interference. One of the strangest, actually, for a while I believed this, but now I don't think it's the case. Annie Jacobson wrote this book about Area 51, and she was kind of seen. And this is when I was in my skeptic phase. I was like, okay, well, this seems like a serious journalist. She's done her due diligence, and she has not found too much about, ETs or UFOs. She's found out a bunch of other weird stuff that the government has been doing. Area 51, which they have acknowledged, by the way. And she said that Roswell was actually a Soviet plot, that the Soviets and Stalin, that they had teamed up with Mengele, who at this time was in South America. So I don't know how this happened, but they teamed up with him to get to do little experiments on people and make them look like grotesque aliens and have them crash land in the United States.
Well, he's an ideas man. He's not so good at the science, but he's like the M. Night Shyamalan of his time.
Yeah, I guess it's possible, but I tend to think that Joseph Stalin would have wanted Mengele to completely be chopped into, 1,000 little pieces.
Until he realized, I need someone who can make weird-looking guys. And then he had to tap him against international law.
But he went after Nazis with a vengeance. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's now the more I've thought about that, I think that's kind of more far fetched than it being aliens, and that's what you have to conclude with a lot of this stuff.